one. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Rippily Show. I am your host, Jessica Dugas. Always excited to be here with you for another episode. Today is, of course, Tuesday, though some of us are a little thrown off. A lot of us, I think, had a holiday weekend and a 3-day weekend, which always makes it interesting to return to. What day is it? We don't really know, but we're here to have fun anyway. But it is Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Happy to have you here with us today. We are continuing our series about use cases here in the month of May on the Rippily Show. And today we're diving into something that sounds simple on the surface, but it's actually one of the hardest things to design well in virtual spaces. And that is open discussions and roundtables. Because the challenging part is everybody says they want conversation. Everybody says they want community. Everybody says they want connection, but creating a space where people actually feel comfortable participating, that's an entirely different skill set. So I think all of us have experienced the extremes of that, right? The awkward silence where no one wants to unmute first, the conversation dominated by one person, the discussion that somehow goes completely off the rails. Or the opposite problem, when something is so overstructured that nobody can actually relax enough to speak naturally. Great discussions live in this really interesting balance between structure and freedom, guidance and openness, leadership and listening. And that balance matters even more in virtual spaces where people are naturally navigating technology, timing, social dynamics, and attention all at one time, which is why I'm especially excited about today's conversation, because joining us a little bit later in the show is special guest Ray Guillot. And Ray brings such an important perspective to conversations, connections, and community building in virtual environments. So we're going to dig in and explore all of that. But of course, up first, the Rippily Show would just not be complete without our fearless leader, Claudio Perrone. Welcome back to the show, Claudio.
Hi. Hey, Jessica. Hey, everyone.
Good to see you today. Oh, well, let's hear it for Claudio. Let's hear it for Claudio. Because we know that you have been working so hard behind the scenes. And really, there's been a lot to juggle, because I think that it was one thing to be building before the platform was really live and open to new people. And now it's live, open to new people, bugs still coming in, still trying to expand, a lot of things happening at one time. Tell us how you've not lost your mind completely yet.
It's passion, I guess. But yeah, you have to be clever, I guess, on the way you build different things, how you systematically prioritize, and listen to everyone, as usual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, we had some exciting things go on this last week. The first thing that I know you worked on was there's a couple new features. The first one is Ripple cards. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is, I dedicate this to Peggy, I guess. One thing I learned is, people, I guess, learn about myself is I build features always with someone in mind all the time. I have to have one person in mind. I build a feature for that person, and then eventually everybody will benefit. So the Ripple card is something that you will find in the toolbox. You dragged in and you send a link to any Ripple within your wave. So any room inside your community, basically. And there's some little configuration where you can, choose if to show the title, not show the title, choose the background of it, but automatically loads up the cover. And this is quite interesting because it shows presence. So you can drag a card, and inside that, now we can see just without entering a room, you can see directly who is inside that room. This obviously becomes crucial for, for example, an upcoming event that we're going to have, which Peggy organizes, which is the Expo event, the Global Business Plaza Expo.
Right.
And in that particular case, usually what we have is several exhibitors with their own ripples, right? And so we're going to have lots of exhibitors in this kind of main expo room. We can see people inside, and saves a lot of time as well, because in the past we would have had like expos where you would put just an image where you click on it and goes into it. But the other cool thing about this is that there's no dialogue to enter anymore. So as you enter the very first time, the very first room, you need to basically access the room. So you would have a dialogue. You also accept the guidelines that eventually are there for the community. But from then on, as long as you stay within the community, you don't have to accept the dialogue anymore. It goes smoothly as if it was like a new scene, but you are in a different room. So that's a really good addition. And that was a lot of work, not so much because of the Ripple card itself. That's the most visible part, but it brings in a lot of work that I've been doing behind the scenes to optimize performance specifically.
Right. Well, I love the idea of the cards, because especially for big events like an expo, because sometimes you might have visited a space and maybe the person isn't there, but you want to be able to talk to them. And it can be hard without popping in and out to see if the person's even back in at their table or in their booth. And so this really makes it easy to be able to see, where are the interactions happening? Is the person there for me to ask questions and things like that? And so it really, I feel like, makes the experience a lot more accessible. And in addition to just the cards, I know that with getting rid of that entrance screen is something that you can do without the cards as well. You could set up a button in the room, and as long as you're going ripple to ripple within the same wave, you don't get that card either then, right?
Exactly. That's a go-to action. So as long as you are now within the same tab and you open on the same tab, if you go to a different tab, you will still have a login, which kind of makes sense anyways, because you don't want to hear like new sounds where you're still on the initial one. Anyways, it could be very confusing. But basically, in that case, if you have a go-to action that links to the same tab, so you can open a room within the same community, so a ripple within the same wave, you will not see the dialogue that you need to accept basically the entrance. That again is it's good for my heart in terms of let's say. I knew it was possible, and it was just a matter of time to introduce that.
That's part of that how have you not lost your mind yet? You create things that help yourself too. Maybe there's part of that.
Every time I see, and often I definitely see others, but I see it as well on my own stuff, right? You come back to it. Carrie Lee, for example, just today, she had a kind of a weird user experience on a completely different like setup. And I was thinking, oh gosh, this is a sin against humanity. I need to do something about this. That's the way I look at everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the other things that you brought around was a reset action. For those of you that are building spaces, there's a new reset action, and everybody who came to the dive on Saturday got to start to play with that a little bit. Tell us why a reset action was important.
Yeah, I mean, this is not necessarily like a flashy, feature, but it's really, really important, especially if you're, creating complex rooms where you're maybe setting variables, doing a lot of extra things that, they accumulate state, it's called, right? You would
Mm,
accumulate a lot of interim things. And then sometimes you need to, if you start a sound maybe in a scene, then you want to go to the next scene, you want to clean that up, and maybe a number of variables you want to clean up. We have an extra option which is called fire once, right? Where you add the value, but
right.
only the first time, and then you have no other way to reset it by design, if not by refreshing the room. Well, it's all good in theory, and then in practice, say you play a game, you create a game, and then you want to start from the beginning, you better have like a
Yeah.
reset action. Otherwise, you're going to do one by one, you're going to do a number of things. So it's a good time accelerator.
Right, right. Well, and I didn't even realize, and I talked about this last month when we were talking about building, which is until you start building a space that is very interactive, say there's a lot of things to hover and click and, drag and drop and all of those neat features that we have here. I've been playing games and things my whole life, and I never really understood until I started building myself how many actions or how many settings have to be in place in order for one little thing to happen.
Yeah.
And so when I would start to create these, reset buttons for people in my spaces, it would be like a long list of actions. So when I tell you, I almost shed a tear when he made this reset button, so I didn't have to go through that whole long process. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. So the other thing that happened was something that nobody really knew was coming. I didn't even know that it was coming, and I knew that it was coming, but I didn't know it was happening on Rippily. And that is that there was a special badge that you created for people on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was a Joy Day badge. Tell us about how that happened.
I didn't know it was coming either, but that's what happened, right? And probably the story from your side as well.
Yeah.
I was hanging around, and your daughter, little Leah, she was talking about Joy Day. Maybe you can tell something about it yourself.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, my youngest daughter Leah, she's 9 right now, about to be 10 in about a month. She wanted to make her own holiday, and I said, "Well, you can celebrate whatever you want, whenever you want, and you can make up your own thing if whatever you want to do." And so she created this holiday called Joy Day, and she told me why she picked May 24th. I tried to ask her. She didn't give me really a straight answer, but she chose May 24th. And she basically said that on the outside, there's a star, and the star is called Joy. And Joy comes every May 24th and gives little gifts that mean joy to people that you love and people that you value and appreciate in your life. And so she plans food for the household, she buys gifts for her siblings, but the secret, everybody, and you can't tell anybody, this has to stay here, is that you are joy. You are joy. And so you get to create this space of kindness and joy for other people. And so she told Claudio all about this when we were she went on and on about it. And then something happened.
Yeah, she prepared stars as well, right? For her
Yes.
brother and sisters.
Mhm.
Like she had little gifts for everyone. And so I thought, oh, it would have been great to, if I had a little bit of time. But then it turns out in the morning, I just woke up and I thought, you know what? We need a surprise badge. And so it was in the morning of May 24th. And I actually had to redesign the badging system because there wasn't a kind of badge like that.
Yeah.
Trust me, it took a while, hours. And but anyways, the point being is for everyone who was lucky enough to log. I know it was a Sunday, no preparation whatsoever, but that's the surprise, right? And so if you happen to log in on Rippily on a Sunday on May 24th, you would get a celebration with the badge that gets to your achievements. And yeah, I thought it was a nice touch. And if you didn't get it, don't worry. You just have to wait for next year.
Yep. You gotta wait for next year. And I said that to her. That was the funny part. I said, Claudio said to tell you that nobody can get the badge unless they log in on May 24th. And she said, well, that's how it works. That's how it works. So for those of you that didn't get it, that's Leah said that's how it works. You got to come back May 24th, 2027, unfortunately.
That's it.
Oh, I love it.
But honestly, again, you can talk about AI, you can talk about the technicality of everything, but I think this goes well with the tradition that we started. Well, you started the tradition with badges, and certainly, the badge feature is something that, but I think even before we had this tradition of bringing humans to features, right? So that's why I was saying, I always have someone in mind when I build something. And I think it stays with that tradition. It's not just a badge, there's a story attached to it, and that I love.
Yeah. And so one of the great things for anybody that is new to the platform, if you're just coming on, or maybe you've been here a minute and you haven't just poked around the dashboard at all, when you go to the dashboard and click on the activity tab, that's where you can see all of your badge opportunities that are available now and all of the ones that you have earned. And so when you click on those, it will say different, it will blow up for you. You can see it bigger. And the one that says Joy Day, if you got it, you can click on it and it does give a little explanation of the badge. So that is available. You can always see your badges on the activity tab as well. So thank you for making us be able to get nostalgic and go back and be like, oh, look at all my pretty
yeah, well, I mean, the other thing that is hidden, maybe I need somewhat to make it more relevant, if on Celebration Day, so the first time that thing happens, so for Leah's would be May 24th, or if you have a streak or, number, things like that, for the entire day, you can click on the streak area, the streak number badge on the top right. Every time you click on that, you can relive the celebration.
Yep. And I sure did all day.
Me too.
Kept clicking it because it's fun. It's fun to celebrate. And I just really appreciate that you have made celebration a cornerstone, really, of the Rippily platform. And I think it's special to be able to celebrate ourselves, celebrate each other. And who doesn't like a little confetti, especially coming from the perspective that Rippily does have a built-in janitorial system. So when the confetti is all over the floor, you don't actually have to worry about it. Somebody just comes and magically cleans it up for you. Isn't that wonderful, everybody? We love that.
My virtual table tennis, you don't have to pick up the ball, right, when you play virtually.
That's it. But thank you for coming on as usual, Claudio. We appreciate you, and we look forward to lots more amazing updates in the coming future.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. So without further ado, I want to bring on our very special guest today. Please welcome to the show for the first time, Ray Guillaume. Welcome, Ray. I'm so glad to have you here finally.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm just so thrilled to hear what you did as the intro, as well as what Claudio just shared with us, is that it's more than features. It's the human-centric element that makes and drives and makes Rippily so special. And the fact that that's in his thinking model is great. And I'll toss it back to you as far as how you want to go down the rabbit hole of conversation.
I love it. And I agree. There's a lot of people that feel like there has been sort of, and this will tie into our conversation, I'm sure, a lack of humanity or a lack of connection in this virtual social world that we've created online. And so I think that it's more important ever to have those touch points of humanity, of, people caring, just caring, and being intentional about that. So, but to start us off, for anybody that doesn't know you, Ray, tell everybody where you're joining from and what excites you about this conversation of community and conversation meeting each other.
Whoa, that's a pretty big question. The easy part is where I am.
Yes, I figured.
So I'm in Winnipeg, Canada. For those who globally, if you look at Canada and you drew a line across the whole space and put a finger right in the middle, that's where I am. So it's for my American friends, I'm north of North Dakota. So that gives you a sense of whereabouts. So literally, I'm at the longitudinal center of Canada. What excites me about being here and the conversations we're having within the show, within the community, within the whole thing, is the whole idea that we're starting with the human, as Claudio has put, and is essentially looking at my starting point to talk about conversations. Is conversations are valuable, but we don't treat them like that. Yet they're the baseline to communication and collaboration. And actually, the driving force within this space is what I won't go any further until you jump in. But in essence, I'm excited about this space, Rippily, in the sense that it creates the environment and the opportunity. And Claudio said, and you said, three very important things: the experience, the engagement, and the interaction. Wow. Oh, you're muted.
Yes, so many possibilities on a virtual platform such as this, and I think there are things that no matter what space we're in, whether it's virtual or in person, or an immersive space like this versus a text space only space, or a space that's maybe not as immersive but we're all on video or something like that, I think there's still sort of those underlying important factors to remember about what makes people want to even participate in a community discussion. So while we're chatting, I'm going to put a poll in the chat that everybody can participate in. What makes you most likely to participate in a discussion space? I would love to have you guys chime in over the next 2 minutes in the chat. But let's start off with that. What makes you most likely want to participate in a discussion space, Ray?
I'm watching the poll as you go, because I love that you've structured it to look at, okay, how do you feel about a space and what draws you, what attracts you into a space? And I'm just going to play off the poll in the sense that the key, there's two key elements: is you have to feel safe and know that there is a process involved. In other words, that something's going to happen either at an engagement level. So there has to be some guidelines and things to that. So the environment is crucial. The process is part of it. And the behavioral expectations of how we're going to exchange helps formulate that sense of safety and trust. Because most conversations, and I'll just use my example, is I have, for the last year and a half, been exploring about a dozen communities, showing up, seeing how they handle their communication and their interaction and engagement with their members. And the first thing is, okay, you're a stranger, you show up, and then it becomes, well, do I feel that all the voices are heard, that it's okay to speak your mind without being criticized or attacked?
Right.
As well as, does the conversational flow add to my level of understanding and sense making to whatever we're talking about?
Right. It's interesting, as you talked about the need for there to be some sort of structure So we've had other use case episodes this month where they're very structured both internally and externally, the way that it's presented to other people, but then also from the design perspective, there's that structure there. With open communication, with open discussions, roundtables sort of thing, which is what our topic is about today. I'm not always convinced that the structure needs to be presented on the outside, like for the user coming in, more just from our perspective of like, if we're creating that space of knowing how is this going to flow? What is the order in which we're going to go in and all of that? However, I had a really interesting incidents recently where my Soul Saturday Morning Coffee that I've been hosting for 10 years, that space at some point in the last couple of years, I made the decision that 5 minutes into the discussion, I was going to lock the door. Because what I found is we were getting into often very emotional conversations, very deep and vulnerable conversations. And I wanted the people that were participating to feel like I'm safe to share here and that nobody's going to come in the middle of me crying or, sharing or something like that. And I didn't share that at the beginning, but after I shared it, I started telling people, hey, we lock the doors 5 minutes coming in. That became more appealing to people, that they knew that it was going to be a safer space. So what's your thought on that with the structure part of things? What do we tell people the structure? Do we not? Does it depend? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we can have both, actually. And what I love from your example, that's gentle structure. It's not an oppressive, dominating structure that says there's only one way. And I think what people appreciated is that by you doing that, having the option to lock the door or close the door, you're basically saying, I am careful to protect your vulnerability and you in the room. So that was just a gentle aspect. You didn't have to really announce it until people sort of say, hey, I like that, or no, stop doing that. So it gives the opportunity for a two-way. That's the key to conversation. It's never unidirectional. It's always omnidirectional. And that's there again, the guidelines, the process. What I like about Rippily, as well as what you're talking about, how we're using the space, is we make it human-centric and frictionless as much as possible. Take away the barriers, the obstacles, and the difficulties that annoy people, as Claudia always refers to, and make it simple for me to have this conversation. The model for this show is an example of that. The structure is simple, it's elegant, it works. You didn't have to explain much. This is my first time on the show. I understand there's going to be people speaking, there's going to be an exchange, there's going to be information. So it's very easy to immediately jump into a conversation. And I'll stop on this, is that's not always the case. How many times have we had bad engagement or bad connections in other platforms or spaces where either the space doesn't allow it, or the people that are hosting or doing the session are dominating or controlling the process as opposed to giving it more freedom. Emergence is another word I would attach. I believe very much in sort of the polarized aspect of what is the spectrum between structure and emergence. Too much of each, too much emergence is chaos, too much structure is dominance.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much to be explored in that, but we don't have a 5-hour show today. So I want to show everybody our next poll question as we will go back and see what the results were of the last one. What usually makes an online discussion feel uncomfortable or awkward? What usually makes an online discussion feel uncomfortable or awkward? That poll is there for you guys. In the last poll, what makes you most likely to participate? 50% said an interesting topic or theme. So that's interesting that was the first thing that people thought of when we're over here talking about safe spaces and guidelines. So what's your thoughts about that, Ray?
Oh yeah, well actually that's a natural tendency. What value am I bringing to the conversation, or what value am I looking for? And that's a natural human question. Is this worth my attention and my time? And quite often, sometimes it's not, or worse yet, someone invites you to an event, an activity, or a session of something, and you say, "Oh, that really interests me," and then I don't get that when I attend. I don't get the promise, so the
Right.
promise is not fulfilled. So I think value is the topic. You have to draw people in. It's pull, not push.
Mm. Absolutely. Well, and I think just simply having a topic or a theme helps us stay on track sometimes too.
Oh yeah, part of the structure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Rein it in a little bit, everybody. So I'm looking at the poll results that are coming in for what usually makes an online discussion feel uncomfortable or awkward. What are your initial thoughts about that? What are the things that set off your, where make you say, I don't really want to be a part of this?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Claudio's comment. I use enabling constraints to let emerge certain behaviors. There again, part of the environment. What does the environment allow or not allow? I think that's crucial. So somebody thinking about that is a gift to us in any space. So back to the poll. I'm just looking. One person dominates and it feels forced or performative. Holy smokes, somebody said it out loud.
We did.
I don't know how many people pressed the button to get that, but I think it's such an important thing is that the natural flow that we're having in a conversation, if you said, no, stick to the question, answer the question, I want you to go, and you're forcing me or pushing me into a certain direction, that's either too performative or too directive or too controlling. And conversations have a natural flow to them. They may not be logical at the start, but people eventually engage in the sense making. So yeah, one person dominates and it feels forced. And anything, what resonates with you, Jessica? Is any of those?
I think for me, the feeling forced would be top for me as well, which ended up being the top answer in our audience. 58% said if it feels forced or performative, it's uncomfortable for them. And I've had that same experience with my live stream shows that I've done over the years because I've been a participant on many live stream shows that they'll give me a list of questions that they're going to ask outright, before we even start. And then worse is when I've been asked to create the questions myself and then give it to them. They're supposed to be interviewing me first. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole today, but it's all these pre-planned questions, and I'm very clear with guests when they come on my show that I say this is a conversational, vibe here, and I don't plan questions ahead of time. This is a direction we could go. This is kind of the topic that we're talking about, but I want to have a conversation. I want to, to quote you and our friend, Mr. Jamie Rich, I want to see what emerges, in that conversation. And so I don't like it to feel like we planned this word for word. That's not fun for me.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job just by asking a question that allows me to select a flow or to follow a certain flow. Questions shouldn't be devices to constrict or to prevent people. They should, from exploring or going in the direction they want to go. Questions should be an invitation to exchange your thinking, your ideas, and your insights, and that's what you just did. You gave a fairly open, flexible question to explore. Then you responded back to it. So that's truly a soft structure and a soft guidance to actually create a conversation. And what in the show that on Sundays with Jamie through your network, we ask people to add to the conversation, so that way a new view or a new element of information is integrated within the flow of the conversation.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm honestly, I did a little bit of acting growing up, but I'm not a great actor as far as like having honest conversations. I want something to surprise me, and I act surprised because I am surprised, not because I'm trying to create a certain kind of narrative. And so that realness is so important to me in not just the shows, but when you start to have those really deep conversations with people, if it feels like you've rehearsed your answer, it's going to come across that way, and it doesn't feel like a human connection is happening.
That's it. And you said a very important word, is there's too much controlled narrative in the world today. It's a message that's meant to be the loudspeaker above all the other voices. Conversation should be and you put it in your survey, is a loud dominant voice doesn't allow other voices to feel comfortable, safe, as well as to be heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to put one more poll in the chat for you guys. Which discussion style do you personally prefer? There's a few different options here to pick from. And we know that sometimes it depends on the type of event or topic or what have you, but just pick the one that applies most likely to how you feel. What would you say, Ray, to someone who is planning on having an open discussion or roundtable type discussion? What would you say to them as far as the planning of it? What are those things that they need to think about as they're planning for it? And then maybe also, what are a couple things they should remember while it's happening?
Well, two pieces to that. And I'll say you're actually a wonderful guide, because my experience coming onto the show was the preparation is you gave me the necessary information for me to understand what to expect and how to behave. And I'll refer to Priya Parker at one point, is where she's written a book on the art of gathering. Your invitation to me was simple, clear. So you gave just enough information, but not enough to say, oh my God, do I even want to be here? But I think the idea that you said you will likely be a guest, but might not be a guest, but you're invited to enjoy the show, to hear what's going on, to be part of it. I said, well, what's better than that? So basically, some minimal structure without too much dictating the terms. People want to know what to expect, is essentially what Priya Parker says. If you create an invitation that tells people how they should arrive, it makes the biggest difference. So I think that's the key thing, is, and I'm looking at the poll again, is that guided prompts with flexibility. You're doing that now. You're giving prompts. You're using an interaction with the audience to say, hey, what are they thinking? What do they want to share with us? What kind of answers are they looking for? And then the others are interesting as well, but this allows us to understand what the audience, the pulse of the audience, if you want to say.
Right. What I love about this particular poll is that there wasn't one option for the answers, that there was no one. Because what I know to be true about any events that we host, or any shows that we host for that matter, is that you're always going to have someone show up that is outside of what the majority, how they participate. And that's okay. It's okay that they operate a little bit differently, but sort of being prepared for that, giving people an opportunity, even, going back to my Saturday morning coffee example, I always tell people, if you are not in a place where you can actively participate, if you're just listening today, or if maybe the topic is too sensitive for them or something like that, I always say, just let me know in the chat that you're not participating, and I'm not going to call on you, because I don't want it to be awkward for those people who, like one of the answers was mostly listening with occasional input. I'm not going to keep calling on them every time if there's someone who's not comfortable with that. And so being prepared that there's going to be people that show up that maybe are not the norm of the people that usually come in, I think is important to remember too.
I'll just cap what you said, which was so important. You provide choice. choice for participation and engagement. So for those who are, like neurodiversity is a thing, is that everyone is a different type of learner, audio, visual, kinesthetic,
Right.
touch driven. So by giving a choice, you're helping to build there again, back to the trust and comfort level. So if someone's a listener, I'm a slow processor. If you say something to me, it'll take me several hours later to go, oh, I want to think about that more, or I got to get back to her and say, this is what I think. I'm not an instant response kind of person. So if you create a space that allows me to, as it was indicated, to listen, to speak up if I feel like speaking up, or to deeply engage, I think that's an important part of the environment, the structure, choice, options.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for participating in all of our polls today. The number one answer for that one, what discussion style do you personally prefer, was the guided prompts with flexibility. People like to have a little guidance, but then choose how they want to behave with that guidance. So I love that as well. Any final thoughts you have about this topic, Ray?
Oh, there's so much I'd love to explore. Maybe there'll be a part 2 later down the road. But in essence, I just wanted to emphasize what we're doing here and what everyone within the community and the users of Rippily. I've been looking for a long, long time for an environment and a platform that allows for deeper discussion, deeper exploration, inquiry, and experimentation. What we've been offered and given is a place for immense creativity and the ability to design the spaces to allow the whole planet in, essentially. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Conversation is at the root of this. And I think Claudio has understood this, and the groups I'm starting to speak to, I'm getting them to mentally transition from Zoom to Rippily. By saying, and Jamie was teasing me the other day. He says, Ray, it's really simple. He says, and that's what I did, is I have a Zoom call, and now I invite them into Rippily, and they immediately go, because it's different. It's that environment. So my conversations are valuable. We have to learn to and Claudio and you were doing that, I think, in your intro, as well as the what Claudio was sharing, is we're starting to change the thinking models and the behavioral models by creating spaces that are more human-centric. And that's beautiful, and I'm so thankful for that. And like, this show is a great opportunity. People can come up and share their insights into, hey, I'm creating this in the platform, and then say, wow, look at the diversity we have.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for all of your thoughts today, Ray. I was so excited to have you on the show. And
thank you.
Because I've been in some of the several spaces with you now where we've been engaging in some of these open conversation type of formats. And you always have such amazing thoughts. And so I was like, who's the guy for the job? He can do it.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. One of my favorite places to have conversation, get to know people in our community here on Rippily, and dive in a little bit further and see what happens, is the Rippily Dive, which happens every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And so I invite you to join us this coming week, where we're going to talk about states meeting scene changes. We've started a little bit of work on states this last Saturday. So now we're going to have it meet scene changes, and it'll be fun. Ray, thank you for joining us today, and take a look at the Rippily Dive. Please welcome back to the show my friend Peggy McCartha.
Yay! What an I've enjoyed all of this. This is just literally, I love this. Yes.
Was so good. So good. And say hi, everybody, to our studio audience today. Looking amazing. We love it. You guys, how was the conversation for you guys? Did you get stuff out of it? Do you feel good about having more open round table discussions and all of that fun stuff here on Rippily? Feel good, everybody? We need confetti. Yes, we need confetti. That's what needs to happen right now. So I wanted to talk with you for a minute, Peggy, because we had you mention it last week, and I wanted to give you an opportunity again to share about the event that is coming up on June 9th. It is so fast coming up, by the way.
So fast. So fast. We are going to have over 40 exhibitors, businesses from around the world that are inviting you into their Ripple, into their space to see what they do. And you know, we have so many amazing people in this Ripley community. And I know we're growing so fast that we know we're not going to have this. We know everyone on Ripley feeling very much longer because I'm seeing new faces all of the time. But it warms my heart to know that we just can grow and grow and grow. And yes, I did put Claudio to work. The expo used to have just little thumbnails, little pictures to show to say, oh, this is this business represented, blah, blah, blah. And now I can't wait because you'll be able to actually see who's in their Ripple. So if you're like, man, I wanted to talk to Jessica. Oh, she's there. Let me go jump in. So I think the engagement is going to be a whole new level. And the chat, I just put in a site. Go to attend.globalbusinessplaza.com and sign up. It is free to attend. We have keynote speakers. We have panel discussions. We have, again, all of the exhibitors. So it is networking. It is business education. It is fun. Come and meet your next favorite business and your next best friend.
Love it. Yes. We always have so much fun at the Global Business Expo. And one of my favorite things, actually, because we all have businesses, it's serious fun around here, guys. Okay. We're serious people, but at the end of the Global Business Expo is a super fun event. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that?
Yes, I do. We have an open mic. This started a couple of expos ago, and it is a time to go off brand. Okay. All day you're, sitting with your business. This is fully exposed, off-brand open mic. Bring your poetry, bring your singing, bring your acting, bring your storytelling. We have spoken word, we have whatever it is. And you don't even have to be an exhibitor. If you are an attendee and you want to sign up to come and have your, 10 minutes of fame, you are welcome. And let me say 5 to 10 minutes. But it goes, we started this talking about communities. Part of community is just listening to the people. And after one expo, we were just sitting around and talking about biscuits. And apparently biscuits and gravy. I know, as one does after a big event. Biscuits and gravy are quite American foods. And so the Canadians were chiming in, and Bronwyn from Australia was like, if I had a plate of biscuits, I'd be one big happy biscuit. And we were tired. This is a 12-hour event. And so, we were silly and laughing. And I went and created the big happy biscuit. And that, my friend, is where we have all of the after party and open mics and all of the fun things. So, and I have some surprises in the Big Happy Biscuit this year. So you are definitely going to want to come. There may be some top secret recipes in there.
All the biscuits. And don't worry, Ray, we can bring poutine for you as well. There will be some poutine. I love it. I'm so excited I feel like this one's going to be bigger and better than ever. I'm so excited about it. And the talent. So obviously on virtual platforms like this, we get to see people's talent in their business and what they're building. But outside of that, we have singers, we have poets. Peggy McCartha did the most incredible monologue the last time, and I was in tears. It was so good. And so you really get to see another side of people. And I think that that is such a magical thing, because people are getting to know you outside of how you operate in your business, and it can really be a great opportunity to bring people in and see, hey, some of what we were talking about, we are human too, and we don't always have it all together, and we are fun, and it's just a great time.
And Mr. Merrick McCartha will be hosting our open mic this time, so it's
yes, we are so excited. So good. So good. So yes, it is coming up on Tuesday, June 9th, and it's from 10 to 10 Eastern, 7 to 7 Pacific, something to something, wherever you are in the world. Timeanddate.com is your friend, and you can discover that there. And
when you run a global community, time and date becomes your best friend.
That's it. That is it. It's something to something wherever you are. And
it's
don't
12
forget.
hours. 12 hours. You're going to be awake for at least part of it. I promise.
Hopefully that's the plan. Hopefully I'm going to try to make it for the whole thing this time. Someone send, I don't know, lots of coffee or something. I'm going to try. We'll see. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Let's bring back up Claudio.
One more thing, Jessica, we didn't mention the Rippily Show is going to be live at the expo.
Yes.
Yeah, the Rippily Show is going to be live at the expo.
Yes.
So, you're going to want to come to the expo so you can be on the Rippily Show also.
It's going to be exciting. It is going to be very exciting. So definitely come for that. Yes. And thank you for reminding me of my part in it, which I forget all my stuff all the time. So that's good. I want to welcome back up Claudio and Ray for the end of our show today. Everybody, how about another hand for Ray today? Fantastic conversation today. And it is extra special, everybody. Do you want to know why? Because it is Ray's birthday today, everybody. So with that, we want to wish you an incredible birthday today, Ray. Thank you for joining us on your birthday. It's so fun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The virtual confetti and cake too.
Yes. Yes. It calorie free, Ray, as it may be. Calorie free, no janitors necessary. Do you see everything Claudio has given us for celebration here? Love it.
I just like the no cleanup part, I like the no cleanup part.
I agree.
Happy birthday, Ray.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Any final words that you have for us today, Claudio?
No, zero. No, it was absolutely awesome to hear Ray talking about community. There's so much to be said about the human aspect, and in a way I feel I'm here to learn, and that's something I wrote before. Like, it's this idea that this is really important in complexity theory. There are some constraints that are too rigid and they just forces you and block you. But if you just put enough constraints that are called enabling constraints, they enable a certain behavior to emerge. And so to me, from what I'm trying to put in practice is to create just enough constraints to enable certain behaviors for which we want to have more of, right? Behaviors that we realize we want less of that and more of that. So you create more constraints just to have more of that. So that's the thinking in general. And so it was like awesome to hear Ray talking about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for being here today for another amazing episode of the Rippily Show. Coming up next week, we are going to be talking about Well, because we mentioned it's coming anyway, so why not? Events, expos, open houses, and a little bit of self-led spaces as well, with the incredible Peggy McCartha is going to be here next week as our special guest, everybody. Shocking. I know. And so we're really happy to dive into this conversation as we finish up our series on use cases in virtual spaces. So thank you guys for being here today. Thank you again, Ray, for being our very special guest today. We appreciate you. To everybody in the studio audience today, thank you for being amazing. We appreciate you. And to everybody in our gallery and over on YouTube as well. We're so always excited to have you here. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rippily Show. Bye, everybody.